All right, everyone. Again, I'm Ansley Sutter, Social Media Training and Development Coordinator with ForRent Media Solutions. Thanks for joining me today. It felt only appropriate to share some new tips and ideas as many of us recently returned from brainstorming in Las Vegas. This year, the theme motivated us to scan far and wide to find ideas and ways to enhance the living experience for both residents and prospects. We found new ways to utilize social media as a mode of engagement, which goes to show how quickly social is becoming a key component of marketing strategies. And not only did the roundtable discussions generate new ideas to pull us from our marketing ruts, it also allowed us to hear the highs and lows our counterparts are facing in the industry. That being said, let's talk about top trends that were introduced and implemented at the conference. We'll also go into apps that can help you be a more socially savvy marketer. I'll share some challenges that many of us face in the industry, and as always, you'll leave with some tips to ignite creativity as well as valuable links. Now, as always, we're on Twitter and would love for you to share your thoughts and ask any questions you may have. We love to make these monthly sessions as interactive as possible, so please don't hesitate to tweet us. And then just to make sure you include the hashtag FRMS webinar that you see at the bottom of the screen here, as well as MFBSConf, which is the hashtag that we used throughout the whole brainstorming conference, in your tweets. So let's jump right in and talk about the top trends we shared at brainstorming. Now, how many of you had that kind of aha moment when you heard about big data? I know I did. And if you're not familiar, according to Search Business Analytics, big data analytics is the process of examining large amounts of data of a variety of types to uncover hidden patterns, unknown correlations, and other useful information. Now, this information can provide you a competitive advantage and result in benefits such as more effective marketing and increased revenue. Essentially, big data will help us better predict prospect and resident behavior, and will drive and optimize our decisions, which is great. We also talked about the multiple use of screens and electronic devices. I know that I can't watch TV without simultaneously tweeting from my smartphone and using my laptop. Now, that's the nature of society today. We're a product of instant gratification and moreism. Now, in our industry, we're constantly multitasking on at least 2 devices, and as a result, we have to find ways to capture the attention of residents and prospects that are just as occupied and distracted as us. I believe I've shown this before, but this video does a great job of showing us that what the upcoming demographic of prospects and residents will be like. So let me play this for you. All right, so it's evident that we've made the shift to interactive, and it's more important to be implementing these social strategies to speak to our audience, because the demographic coming up is dependent on electronic devices. They're electronic on anything that they can touch rather than print. Definitely print is alive. It's not going anywhere, but we've got to implement some more socially savvy ways to connect to our target audience. So one trend we're seeing in society is being more conscious of the space and environment in which we live, right? More companies are going green not only to answer their social responsibility, but it's also surprisingly cost-effective. Valerie Sargent, a dynamic speaker who's been in the industry for 20+ years, drew some great ideas with her group on ways we can push eco-friendly initiatives in the industry. So we'll go over a couple of those that she as a facilitator and her group came up with. She shared that by encouraging residents to use your green amenities, and catching them doing something right will motivate them to continue to have it and create a healthy competition amongst themselves. So involve service managers to reward residents when they see them. You can recycle by recycling, by picking up after their pet, etc. And Valerie's group came up with taglines for the campaign like "Get Caught Green-Handed" and "It's So Easy Being Green," which I think are so clever. They also proposed that management provide new residents an eco-friendly welcome kit filled with sustainable goodies. Some incentives to motivate residents to be green are offering maybe a gift card after the resident has been caught being green after a certain number of times, which is a really neat idea. These are all great ideas, and you can adopt them to work within your business model and work with your budget. So these are just some tips that you can utilize that we learned from brainstorming. So infographics and infographics, for short, have become increasingly popular because they give more visual appeal while providing educational stats. Now this infographic you see here shows how the marketing industry has been impacted by social media. Social media is probably the best thing to happen to us as marketers, only because it's a platform that allows us to send messages and connect to target audiences at exponential rates, right? So this infographic was done by Flowtown, and it just kind of shows you the new trifecta of marketing. So now that we've gone over several trends from brainstorming, let's talk about apps that could make our jobs more efficient. So Google Goggles is an app that I thought was pretty neat. Google Goggles is a downloadable image recognition application created by none other than Google, which can be currently found on the mobile apps page of Google. Now the description that they write up says that you can start your search by taking a picture, by pointing your mobile phone camera at a painting or maybe a famous landmark, maybe a barcode or QR code, a product, a storefront, or a popular image. They all work. If Google Goggles finds it in its database, it will provide you with useful information about that said object. And Goggles can read text in several languages and translate it into other languages, which is really neat and useful. Goggles also works as a barcode or QR code scanner, which I know some of you are using to drive traffic to your website as we speak. So this might be something you want to implement. Now, a SnapTag is an app that takes us from basic QR codes to creating a custom QR code that uses your brand's logo instead of that generic black and white blot we see. SnapTag says instead of just taking people to a link, these designer QR codes open up new lines of interactive communication that allow you to track, use, and reuse relationships, building those relationships. The technology uses unique code rings that, when repositioned, allow you to create a new code each time, which is pretty neat. So you can still have your same branding you see here, but when that QR code or when that unique code or unique circle is repositioned, that ring is repositioned, it creates a whole new code for you that you can utilize. Talk about repurposing, right? Now, they also talked about Pearl Trees at Brainstorming, and Pearl Trees is a free visual and collaborative library that keeps you and keeps everything at your fingertips. The unique interface lets you manipulate and retrieve your favorite web pages, photos, and notes. So it's almost like an online database for you. You can also leverage Pearl Trees community members to discover amazing stuff related to directly to your interests. And then you can access your Pearl Trees from several devices, which is great since you're on the move. We know that. And this app may be ideal if you're in need of an interactive form of collaboration with your staff or team. So say that you're a PMC or a property management company and you have multiple offices. Pearl Trees is one of the ways that you can make sure you're on the same page with your team. So I'm sure most of you are relative with Instagram. It's pretty well known at this point. Instagram is a heavily used app at ForRent, and it's a great way to engage visually to our target audience. We use it all the time. We used Instagram during brainstorming and incorporated the hashtags which were pushed to our Twitter page and then hosted on our Facebook page. So not only does Instagram appeal visually, you can actually push your images and connect your social networks so that it'll show on those various social networks. So by one push, it's going to several different places. Now, we also use Instagram as a means to connect our audience to our team at the home office, which shows the more humanistic side of our brand. So this might be something that you want to do if you feel like your residents aren't really connecting with your team because they just think that it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. They do not know who's behind the curtain. Instagram is a great way to take pictures of your team. We use it when we ever have like Halloween or any type of holiday parties where we have the tacky Christmas sweater. That's definitely something we use to push out and allow our customers and consumers to connect with our team, the people behind the curtain. Now, Pecan Chart is a program that offers you over 50 professional themes for creating infographics. We all know that information overload is very present, and it can be a bit daunting and redundant. So this is a great way to customize your information and be more visually appealing at the same time. Now, Dragon Dictation is an easy way to use voice recognition application that allows you to easily speak into your smartphone or your smart device and instantly see your text message or email transcoded by Dragon Dictation. So it's said to be up to 5 times faster than typing on a keyboard, which is crazy to me because I type like a maniac. But Tammy mentioned that the email is going away. Email is going away, and we're moving in the direction of modes of communication that move more quickly. So this app is a product of that mentality, that fast-paced, instant gratification, need to have it now type mentality. It's crazy to me how email might be going away, but you know, it's very realistic. So just knowing that. Now, as a leasing tool, you can speak into Dragon Dictation while touring your property with a prospect maybe. You can say what features they want so you can note it without having to take a pen and a piece of paper with you. You can talk into Dragon Dictation to say what their needs are when they speak about them and what features they like best, so that next time when you follow up, when you service them, those will be at the forefront of your mind just because they're saved on the app. Now, during the move-out inspection, you could use Dragon Dictation to list any damages and comments about the apartment, which is really neat. And you can also use it to get testimonials from residents, which we'll talk about as a challenge that we face in this industry in a second. So what we are going to do now is move away from the apps that we mentioned at Brainstorming and move more in the direction of how we can face the challenges in the industry that many of us have to deal with. And we'll talk about those challenges brought to us at Brainstorming. I'm sure many of you can relate to some of these. So the reality of our industry is that we sometimes play a temporary role in a resident or prospect's life. So if we cater to a demographic such as college students, we know that eventually they'll move on maybe to another apartment community after they graduate college, but they'll more than likely move from that apartment community that served them as a resident or as a place to live while they were in college. So how can we make their living experience a positive one for the time that they're there? This is just one of the many challenges that we face. And at Brainstorming, we found ways to think outside of the box to solve problems that arise such as these. So asking for testimonials is a hot-button topic in our industry for various reasons. You may have a person on the management team that doesn't feel comfortable asking for a testimonial, or you may have issues with residents not following through with completing a testimonial once asked. And facilitator Craig Meyer and his group answered the challenge of ways to boost the number of testimonials and feedback from residents. So one way is that you can find ways to make it easy for both your staff and for your residents, for both sides. Prompt your residents to give feedback when checking into your venue like Foursquare, Facebook, or Instagram. Prompt them to share positive feedback on Yelp and Google+. And then create a call to action in your email signature asking for a review. You'll be surprised how many people will respond if you just ask. Now, ways you can incentivize your residents is by hosting monthly or quarterly resident events and have response cards available. Creating a random acts of thank you program to treat your residents just because will certainly give them a reason to happily give a positive testimonial at your request. Again, you'd be surprised how frequent people will respond if they're asked. So don't be afraid to ask them. Nothing beats failure like a try. One challenge we all face is finding new ways to get residents to continue renewing leases, right? So I came across an article, and if anyone knows who wrote this article, please let me know, because it was a great article that talks about how Post Properties of Atlanta is rewarding its most loyal residents with the 5-star resident program. So Post Properties considers a 5-star resident as one who lived in the same apartment for 5 years and has signed a lease for the 6th year. Each eligible resident receives a 4-screen gift box containing a letter from the chairman of Post Properties. They receive an automatic refund of the security deposit. They receive a choice of 5 gifts and services valued at $50 each, as well as 2 certificates for a night in a corporate guest apartment, and 5 100 bonus gift certificates for resident referrals. Now, I don't know about you, but that would definitely make me want to renew not only my 6th year, but I couldn't wait till my 7th year, because that really gives your residents that VIP treatment that they definitely deserve after living there for 5 years. So even adopting this idea and on a small scale giving back to your residents at the 1-year or 2-year or 3-year mark, that's definitely something that will want to make them renew their leases for the next year. So just keep that in mind. So one group during the brainstorming session, during the roundtable sessions, was faced with the challenge to brainstorm ideas for identifying a target market, given the community's present condition, which was not great. So they were to choose one idea and develop it into a program, campaign, or tool to take back and implement immediately. And the group did a great job of thinking outside of the box by conducting demographic research and finding that the area was heavily populated with the military community. So they then devised a strategic plan called the Home for Heroes program. And for those of you targeting a demographic, you can adopt a new way to speak to that audience. So this is something I know that the student housing and active adult sectors of the industry do all the time. They find new ways to cater to that specific niche market or that demographic. One thing that's inevitable in our industry is lease expirations. And I came across an article from Brainstorming that offered basic lease renewal strategies like staggering your leases for one. And the author offered these 3 approaches. Staggering your lease end dates is a great way to offset leases ending at the same time. And this helps your staff avoid a stack of paperwork and a large number of vacancies to fill. So if you stagger them even by apartment type, that might help you out. Another great idea in the article was going month to month allows you to better manage your move-outs. So if you're in the position where you cannot afford to lose residents, this option is the low-hanging fruit that will retain your residents because they know they can go month to month. Now the drawback is obviously the uncertainty, but asking for maybe 60 to 90 days as opposed to 30 days notice might help out. Now the last approach is the ostrich approach, which is this is what would happen in an extremely tough market. Now the ostrich approach allows you to ignore lease expirations or leases expiration. It's slightly different than the month-to-month option, excuse me, where the ostrich approach has no paperwork. This is the option if you've tried everything you can to keep your residents. But hopefully you don't have to go that route. So now that you have a snapshot of some things we've covered at Multifamily Pros Brainstorming Conference, let's go over some ways to help you better brainstorm with your team. So we all know the feeling when we absolutely have nothing. And then, you know, you have no new ideas, you have no fun ways to engage with your residents. You have no spouts of inspiration to spread to your team, and then it hits you all of a sudden, and it's the best feeling. So I give you 5 out-of-the-box tips for stellar brainstorming. These are ways to get those creative juices flowing so that you and your team can come up with new ways to market to your community. So this was a really clever acronym that Tammy put a rubber duck on each table, and it means quit using all conversation killers. So there's no such thing as a bad idea, guys. Be willing to open your mind to other perspectives, and you'll see how far you get as a collaboration with your team. The next one is, before the conference, the ForRent team was lucky enough to take a tour of Zappos headquarters. And while there, we learned that the company incorporates uses their employees' individual quirks to bring out the best in order to provide optimal service experience, optimal customer experience as a whole. So while there, you can apply this core value, which is one of Zappos' core values, to your strategy. Some personalities that may have been stifled in the past could be, in fact, your most effective asset. So what you want to do is create a little fun and weirdness. It's just as simple as that. So let's face it, the gift and the curse of being a marketer is the constant dialogue we have running through our heads. I know I'm not the only one that just wakes up and is full of ideas. But if we never documented our ideas, think of how much of a disservice that would be to the prospects and residents out there hungry for engagement. What you can do is create a vision board and place it somewhere with high foot traffic so that you can execute and implement your ideas. Another great way to put our marketing ADD to work is to utilize Pinterest. We have so many ideas, and Pinterest is a great source of inspiration, but it also allows you to categorize your thoughts so you stay on track, which is super important. Now, have you heard the term, your network determines your net worth? And brainstorming is a gold mine of potential partners and friends. I personally couldn't believe how contagious the atmosphere was from start to finish. It was my first time coming to the conference. I had no idea what to expect. And honestly, with the time difference and the constant, quote, on-the-go mentality, I was sure we'd all drop 24 hours into the event. But the flow of connection and making an idea generation just made me want to do more and want to do better, and it wanted me to make this industry proud. At Brainstorming, we're all on the same level. Tammy does a great job of making sure that we check our status and job titles at the door. If you have the opportunity to go next year, utilize this forum to make new connections, and I promise you, you will not regret it. Another way that you can utilize brainstorming and generate more brainstorming ideas is to generate ideas as not to live in a box. As marketers, we have to produce a product that constantly delivers that wow factor. We can't do this by riding the normal bland train. We have to challenge ourselves to go the extra mile and take detours, live outside of the box. So now we'll share some links you can use to help you brainstorm better and create an experience for your residents and prospects. So all these links that you see here we'll share out. So if you ever want to create an infographic of your own, you can do that. Also, there is a cool article by HubSpot that introduced Instagram's new Pinterest-like platform. So you can decide if it's worth your time or not. Also, we wrote an article on our Your Solutions blog that talks about how screen culture is touching the multifamily housing industry. And then lastly, I'm sharing a link with you to Multifamily Pro's Pinterest board, which Tammy talked about and introduced during brainstorming. But if you lost that, you definitely have that link available to you. So now what I want to do is I want to share a video with you. So let me make sure my volume is up. All right, so this is just a recap video of coverage that I took at Brainstorming. So if you see yourself, I hope you enjoy.
But it's also a time to celebrate. And at ForRent, we have our big birthday celebration. And what you will see is we are giving away 30 prizes, 30 gifts to this group for our birthday as our gift back to you to celebrate our anniversary and our birthday this year. That said, we're on 30. Where's table 30? For the ForRent birthday. Look under your chair. Someone's going to win the first gift. Open that up first. No pressure.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that video. It's just kind of a quick recap of everything that we saw through the eyes of ForRent. So these are our social networks that we're present on. If you ever need to tweet us, we have the same Twitter handle as we do the Instagram. So if you want to visit us on Instagram, definitely follow us at Apartments for Rent or APTS for Rent. And please tweet with us. We'd love your feedback and everything like that. So to wrap things up, I'm happy to answer any questions not answered during the presentation. I do have a log of all of your questions, so I can get back to you personally via email. And then to wrap things up, I hope you've enjoyed this recap of Multifamily Pros Brainstorming Conference 2012. And on behalf of ForRent Media Solutions, have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you next month. Have a good day, everyone.